and we are going to design. We are going to learn how to design, how to create dams. So dam along with reservoir, they are all part and parcel of one thing. So what we are studying here is basically the dams and reservoirs. When we create dam, reservoir is complementary. When you do one thing and second thing comes to you automatically, then that is complementary. So here dams are different, earthen dams, gravity dams. Bhagyesh sir would be discussing some part or rather completely the earthen dams, the construction and failure of the earthen dams, both. The construction and failure important is important in case of earthen dams, and it is different than the construction, design and construction of the gravity dams. Here are three dams mentioned on the screen to spark the curiosity in your mind that such things like highest dam of the India, which exists in Uttarakhand, Tehri Dam, and having height of 260. In Gujarat, we have Sardar Sarovar, that is roughly 138, 139 meter high. So height is a kind of criteria of design. You look at this, you could fix up the criteria that what is the criteria. So height could be a criteria that how high is your dam really is. So that is one thing. The second is longest dam is Hirakund on Mahanadi, Odisha. How much long is this? You look at 25 kilometer long. That is height is 260 in Three Gorges Dam. Three Gorges Dam in China is around 330 meter height. Hoover Dam of US built long back. Long back means 1935, and the height of the dam is crossing 300 meter mark. What kind of technology they might have had during that time to construct that high dam? Tehri was built roughly 20 years back. Hirakund, the construction was done in 1953 and the length is 25 kilometers. It is combination of earthen and gravity dam. The upper one, Tehri Dam, is also a combination. It's not completely gravity. It's a rock filled dam also, because this Uttarakhand area completely rocky, so they have taken advantage of that material available and construction to reduce the cost. The oldest dam, which is there, Kalini or Kalanai Dam, is on river Kaveri, which flows from Karnataka to where? Tamil Nadu. Kaveri dispute is very well known. All these dams are having certain disputes. Even in Tehri Dam, you might have heard about the construction and earthquake prone area. Tehri, Gadwal and Uttarakhand, Himalaya region is completely falling into zone 4-5 of earthquake sensitive zone, so you could say. And those who were against the construction, they were raising the alarm that it should not be constructed such high dam, 260 meter in sensitive area, even in 21st century or towards the end of 20th century. The Hoover Dam was built long back, almost 70, 80 to 90 years back, and the height was like that only. And they were not afraid of the technological advancement and application execution of that knowledge onto the ground. In India, this was disputed. The case was there in the Supreme Court to discuss or to fix the height. Like we had discussion on Sardar Sarovar Dam for long 40 years, whether it should be having of 140 meter or not. It was stuck at 90 meter, then 95 meter, 100 meter, 105 meter, and so on. And finally, it was like 120 meter, 121 meter for 3-4 years, and there was no permission given to by the center Supreme Court to the state government to construct up to 138 meter. So the thing is that the oldest, this Kalanai Dam on Kaveri, why mention is that this is like a 2000 years old, 100 BC to 100 AD construction of this dam took place. You might have heard the name of Dr. Visvesvaraya. Last semester we had one special lecture, invited lecture through webinar of one of the chief engineer on Narmada. He spoken on this, that how the construction of the dams on Kaveri took place, and Dr. Visvesvaraya was also one of the leading person to construction the new dams on this Kaveri river. And later, on later stage, those dams also resulted into dispute Kaveri Kaveri water distribution dispute, and that was there was the case for long 20-30 years in Supreme Court to distribute the water among Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. So this is just a background to make you understand that the technical things, apart from the technical things, we should also understand the nitty-gritty of geography, political scenario, and the interaction between different states and different countries. Many things like those which are falling into the Uttarakhand and Himalaya region. So if certain dams are being constructed by China, they may have dangerous situation onto Indian geography. Like we have Brahmaputra, which flows from like Tibet through Assam and falling into the Bay of Bengal. And if a dam is constructed on upper reaches in Chinese territory, and they may misuse it by releasing huge amount of water, which is causing flash floods, causing deaths of many which are there into the basin area or low-lying area, and maybe losses of crops and animals and many more things. So that kind of thing should be kept in mind while designing, and we should go ahead further onto this. Here are the textbooks on hydraulic structure. You could have a look onto it. I have written red marked books. Irrigation and Water Power Engineering by B.C. Punamiya, 7th number. The book on 7th serial number, Lakshmi publication, is one of the classic book on irrigation and hydraulic structure. And the last 10th book by S.K. Garg, Irrigation Engineering and Hydraulic Structure, Khanna publication. These are classic book in the category of hydraulic structure. If you see the code of design, Indian standard BIS codes, then you will find that these books are supplemented with all the details of codal provisions, the latest versions of these books. So I recommend those who are having keen interest in the government setup, want to join the government jobs, want to appear in the GPSC or UPSC examination, they should buy a book by Punamiya or by S.K. Garg, because anybody sitting in the conference or interview board would ask you about these books. And if you have not gone through, then it's difficult to answer such questions. I have uploaded such all these IS codes on my MS Team laboratory DHS and laboratory irrigation engineering. You will find codes available onto that. You just download, no need to do the Google and find the proper link on that. Here, the first 4 are for the DAM, DHS, and rest of the green IS codes are for the Weir and Beras, and they are there into the like irrigation engineering part. We do not have the Weir and Beras design into like the design of hydraulic structure. So you just refer those who are having only the design of hydraulic structure as elective, the first 4 IS code. Out of these, the important one is the 6512. The IS code 6512 criteria for design of solid gravity dam. Even if you are reading book on S.K. Garg or Purnamia, everything is written from those books, or you could say those IS codes are written from the book, because book have prevailed, and all those who have been writing these codes have studied the book from Purnamia and S.K. Garg. So that is what this is, kind of a cyclic phenomena. So we are learning from each other kind of thing. So design of 6512 code you should always keep in mind and remember. And there is Ogi spillway, design of a spillway. If you go through book, then it's okay. You just remember the number 6935, and energy dissipators in the spillways, that is also mentioned in one IS code 7365, and earthquake design structure, which we have already studied, the code 1893. That is also useful in design of dams, gravity dams, specifically gravity dams, because one of the force which we consider in the design is earthquake force. Both horizontal and vertical vibrations are considered, and we calculate the load, design load for dams. Why study hydraulic structures? As I said, the water is essence of life. If we drink, we survive. If we eat, we survive. In absence of water and food, survival becomes difficult. Survival becomes like, which is beyond even our thought process that we could survive without water or food. So what we could do, how to develop the water resources of a region, and how the civil engineering is ingressing its roots into this area. Since time immemorial, we are putting up certain things. We are conceptualizing, planning, then we design, construct, and operate various projects. So that is how this is done. It's a long process, even if we are into a conceptualization process. So like the Sardar Sarovar project was conceptualized since the time of Britishers. They have also done certain kind of planning to create a dam, but could not succeed. Then after independence, and then 2-3 decades just for conceptualization and planning. So even you have seen the Khosla theory. We are going to discuss, study. Khosla himself was involved in conceptualization and planning of Sardar Sarovar project, or in that time they called the development of the Narmada Valley. The complete title was the development of Narmada Valley waters. So that conceptualization, planning, then comes the design, construction of various projects, and operation. Water resources engineering include utilization of water, control of water, and the quality management of the water. And what are the water needs? I have already mentioned these: domestic and industrial in the water policy, then irrigation, power generation, navigation, and many other. There are mentioned 7-8 requirements or utilization of water, which we need to satisfy. Water is controlled and regulated, or first what we do, we control and then regulate it for flood control, for land drainage, sewerage, bridges. Water is controlled and regulated. Look at this, that we need to construct bridge, we need to lay down the sewerage system, we need to improve the land drainage. The land drainage means it's self drainage, or sometimes inserting the artificial channels even, and controlling the flooding situation. So we need water to be controlled and regulated. Control means water is not flowing in uncontrolled manner, and regulation means we are supplying water as per the specific requirement, and quantum of water is given at the decided levels. So that is what is the meaning. Control is that it's not random haphazardly. What comes is going out. Say it's raining, then you use. When it is not raining, you are thirsty, you are depriving of the water or water related activities. No, we need recreational activities throughout the year, that kind of situation. So it is controlled. Regulated means exact amounts, like water in your tap, you are getting discharge and pressure flowing through your tap should be proper. It should not be like anything. Sometimes water is coming just 2-3 drops, and other time it's oozing out like in large quantum. It should not happen like that. So that is the thing, that we are controlling water. We need to control. Civil engineering part comes into that. We design everything related to water to control and regulate, and in this part only somewhere we design the hydraulic structures. What the hydraulic structures? Now we could understand that the structures which are built in and around water, water is main force which affect the stability of a structure. Then those structures you could consider as hydraulic structures. So in bridges, piers are mostly done in the riverbed. If you leave aside few at the end, at the banks of the river, if you leave aside, then most of the piers, intermediate piers, are there into the water. So you could say that partial bridges are like hydraulic structure, though we do not do the study of bridges in hydraulic structure, but some way the force is being exerted of the flowing dynamic water condition. Likewise, the dams, piers, barrages, canals, the things which are there in the water in and around, onto or on peripheral, there is even certain structures constructed in sea, Arabian Sea, Bandra link. So kind of jetties are being constructed. Even riverfront you look at, then dynamic forces of water are exerted. So we understand here how the water is really giving thrust or force. Like when we design, build the high rise, we consider wind velocities. If they are sufficiently having like 20-30 kmph and above, or beyond that, then you take into consideration for high rises or at least skyscrapers, or in coastal areas you take into consideration the wind velocities or wind pressure or wind force. So in similar manner, here water is the major chunk of the forces acting upon the structure, specifically when I talk about dams. Yesterday, I was talking about multi-purpose and single-purpose projects. Water resources development project or any project, if having one purpose, then it's a single purpose, or if more than one, say you add a secondary or tertiary level of purpose or objective to the same project, then you may call it a multi-purpose project. So main purposes or objectives are like domestic supplies, water supplies, industrial uses of the water, irrigation and power, both then navigation, flood control. All these are purpose of creating structures, hydraulic structures. Sometimes only for controlling flood we construct the structure, that Surat city should not be affected by the recurring flood from Tapi river. So for that they have the provisions. They spend money, thousands of crore rupees is spent only for flood control, and there is nothing wrong. If you do not do it, then you are losing more than that amount, 50,000 crore of the assets lost in 2006, flood of 2006 in Surat. So flood control could be one major purpose, only purpose of one project to protect the city. So that kind of thing is there. Then secondary purposes, recreational mostly is not the first purpose. Like if you look at this Sabarmati riverfront, if you consider it as hydraulic structure, part of the main channel portion, then recreational, beautification and value addition, all three are combined here in this. So most of the rivers which are having such river facilities, specifically within the town cities, then the recreational becomes one major purpose. But there are other purposes also, like land reclamation development was the major purpose, where we reclaimed the land from the Sabarmati river basin or the Sabarmati valley, which was on to the left and right, and then what we utilize it, and we cleared the kind of encroachment throughout this area. So that was the purpose. Beautification of the city was purpose. So recreational is one. Fish and wildlife, the secondary purpose. Drainage control. Drainage control, maybe drainage control. I see drainage is like what you understand. Most, not most. Many rivers are like evergreen, perennial rivers. They receive water either from glaciers or return flow from the self or the self drainage of the soil. So if drainage, many a times we want to check the drainage which is water flowing down below the ground. So that can also be done, can be controlled by constructing the structures not above the ground, but even below the ground. Many times we construct the curtain walls, which are going 20-30 feet down into the ground, like sheet piling we do. So these kind of things done many a times for like basements. When we construct, we do such drainage control things. This is a smaller example, but at large scale things can be done. Watershed management, management of vegetation, water and soil, all three at a time can be done through these water resources development projects. Sediment control. Sediment is nothing when there is kind of flow of water, then the soil moves along with the force of water, and to control that we construct many a times structure. So that kind of salinity control in coastal areas is a measure. Many research work are going on to this topic, that how we could serve water, the sweet water to Surat city, to Jamnagar, and desalination plants are being erected by even Reliance is one of the major player which is providing the sweet water to Jamnagar city. So salinity, what salinity is? That water which is having more salts is ingressing into land area. It is ingressing through land area and making water availability scarce, the sweet water availability very scarce to those colonies, communities. So to control, sometimes we construct many, we go for water resources development project, like not exactly creation of them, but many other projects. Pollution abatement is also miscellaneous purposes of the water resources development. You won't be like employment is one of the major part of such bigger project. आपने देखा होगा कि जितने भी रजवाड़े थे, पहले राजा लोग थे, अपना जो गढ़ था, बड़े बड़े गढ़ बनवाते थे, हजारों लोग काम करते रहते थे, तो काम करने के बाद उनको खाना मिल जाता था। उस जमाने में खाना मिलना भी मुश्किल था। कल मैं बात कर रहा था इरिगेशन के लेक्चर में कि कैसे 1960 से पहले हम वी वर नॉट फूड और ग्रेन सेल्फ सफिशिएंट। अभी तो हम फूड ग्रेन में भी है, एनर्जी में भी है, और 2023 तक गवर्नमेंट का है कि हर घर जो नल से जल, तो ऐसा एक आपका 24 घंटे पानी आए, ऐसा भी एक प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है। तो 2024 तक हो सकता है कुछ उस पर डेवलपमेंट हो। तो उस जमाने में एम्प्लॉयमेंट का एक बड़ा ये साधन था, और इस जमाने में भी है। इतने बड़े प्रोजेक्ट होते हैं, उसमें ह्यूज लेबर फोर्स लगती है, और लाखों लोग इंक्लूडिंग स्किल्ड एंड नॉन स्किल्ड वर्कर्स एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिलता है। तो ये जैसे अभी कल सर चालू हो जाए तो एक दो बेच तो हमारे सिविल इंजीनियरिंग के उसी में खप जाएंगे। जब नर्मदा में ये सरदार सरोवर चालू हुआ था तो गुजरात में सिविल इंजीनियर्स की कमी आ गई थी। लेबर फोर्स अदर स्टेट से मंगाए गए थे, क्योंकि यहाँ पे इतना ज्यादा एम्प्लॉयमेंट था, इतना लेबर का रिक्वायरमेंट था, और थोड़ा सा रिमोट एरिया था केवड़िया उस टाइम, तो अवेलेबिलिटी भी कम थी उस पॉइंट पे। एक्सेलरेट डेवलपमेंट बड़े प्रोजेक्ट से जो है लॉन्ग रन में, जो कहते हैं ना कि इकोनॉमिक बूस्टर देते हैं, उसको कैप्सूल देना पड़ता है। तो ऐसे प्रोजेक्ट जब हम 1 लाख 2 लाख करोड़ की बातें करते हैं, बड़े बड़े प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं, वाटर रिसोर्सेस प्रोजेक्ट हमेशा हम पड़े होते हैं, तो वो एक इकोनॉमी को ऑल ऑफ सडन तो नहीं, लेकिन एक साइक्लिक वे में, मे बी ओवर ए 5 years और 10 years वे में इकोनॉमी को एक नेक्स्ट स्टेप पे लेके जाते हैं, और वो स्टेप फिर आगे के जनरेशंस के लिए काम आता रहता है। तो दिस इज टू एक्सेलरेट द ओवरऑल सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट। सो दैट इज व्हाट द मीनिंग हियर। ये मेरी लास्ट 2 स्लाइड्स है आज की, उसके बाद हम लेक्चर को बंद कर देंगे। इसको समझना थोड़ा सा अच्छा रहेगा आपका। एक सब्जेक्ट आप पढ़ चुके हो और एक सब्जेक्ट हम अभी पढ़ेंगे, तो दोनों का कॉम्बिनेशन होगा तब ये DHS आपको समझ में आएगा। What is this? That water resources project is a 2-step procedure. It's not a 1-step procedure. वाटर रिसोर्सेज प्रोजेक्ट, डैम मान लो कि आपका एक वाटर रिसोर्सेज प्रोजेक्ट है, डैम बनाना है, तो ये 2-step प्रोसीजर है। फर्स्ट स्टेप क्या है? हाउ मच वाटर इज अवेलेबल। यदि वाटर ही अवेलेबल नहीं है तो आपका प्रोजेक्ट पिकअप ही नहीं करेगा। So many areas like in Rajasthan, if you want to construct a dam, how would you think in that direction? There is no water. 200 millimeter, 300 millimeter हो गया पूरे साल का रेनफॉल। अहमदाबाद का 1000 मिलीमीटर रेनफॉल है, एनुअल एवरेज रेनफॉल। तो वहां पे जो पानी गिरता है वो सैंडी सोइल है, पूरा का पूरा अंदर चला जाता है, तो आपका पानी बहता ही नहीं है, नदी ही नहीं है कोई। जो लूनी नदी है, जो साबरमती के बाद नेक्स्ट रिवर है, जो यहाँ से करीब करीब 100-150 किलोमीटर पे खत्म हो जाती है, तो वो उस नदी के बाद कोई नदी ही नहीं है, तो आप कैसे सोच सकते हो? सो फर्स्ट स्टेप, हाउ मच वाटर इज अवेलेबल। तो आप कौन से एरिया में आपका प्रोजेक्ट है? सौराष्ट्र में है, मिड गुजरात में है, साउथ गुजरात में है, या कोई अदर स्टेट में है, झारखंड में है, तो वहां की हमें क्या चाहिए? हाइड्रोलॉजी की स्टडी चाहिए। तो नॉलेज ऑफ हाइड्रोलॉजी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, जो आपने लास्ट सेमेस्टर में लिया था, जो हमने लास्ट सेमेस्टर में पढ़ा था हाइड्रोलॉजी। तो उसमें क्या क्या, प्रेसिपिटेशन कितना हो रहा है, कैसा हो रहा है, जैसे हमने सारे उसमें पढ़े थे। फिर लॉसेस कैसे हैं, रन ऑफ कितना है, फिर फ्लड जो हमने हाइड्रोग्राफ पढ़ा था उसका पीक वैल्यूज कितनी है, फिर रिजर्वोयर साइजिंग जो मास्काउ ने हमने बनाया था कि इसका कितना बड़ा रिजर्वोयर बन सकता है, मास्काउ से हम निकालते हैं कि एक हमने डबल मास्काउ पढ़ा था और एक होता है केवल मास्काउ, तो मास्काउ से हम रिजर्वोयर साइजिंग करते हैं। तो इस चीज का नॉलेज बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है। जब भी हम ऐसा कोई भी बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं तो वहां की हाइड्रोलॉजी के बारे में ये स्टेप्स नॉलेज में रहने चाहिए। आपके पास बुक होती है, लेकिन आप हमेशा बुक में जाके देख सकते हो कि एग्जैक्ट प्रोसीजर कैसे करना है, लेकिन ये तो पता होना चाहिए कि ये वाला प्रोसीजर करना है, टिक्का कौन सा लगाना है ये पता होना चाहिए, कौन सी बीमारी का है, तो ये बहुत जरूरी है। दूसरा जो स्टेप है, हाउ टू यूटिलाइज एंड कंट्रोल द वाटर। तो इसके लिए जो दूसरा स्टेप है, हाउ टू, द सेकेंड स्टेप इज हाउ टू यूटिलाइज एंड control water. Previous slides में मैंने आपसे देखा था कि control and regulation. Here we are saying that how to utilize. We are looking at maximum utilization of water and also want control and regulation. So what it requires? Various hydraulic structures we have to have for this purpose to utilize to an optimized level and to have better control and have a better regulation on the water. So, and type of hydraulic structure are storage, diversion, transportation like a canal. Storage में मैं बता दूं डैम, diversion में मैं बता दूं आपको weir, barrage, transportation में आपका pipelines and what you say pipelines and canals. ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में यस कैनाल्स हो गया, डाइवर्जन में वियर, बैराज हो गया. कंट्रोल में जैसे पाइपलाइन में वाल्व होता है तो यहाँ पे क्रॉस रेगुलेटर्स होते हैं, हेड रेगुलेटर्स होते हैं. तो कंट्रोल स्ट्रक्चर्स बनाते हैं हम जिससे पानी को रोक के उसका हेड बढ़ाएं, कितनी क्वांटिटी में जाना देना है. गेट्स खोलते हैं जैसे स्पिलवे के ऊपर गेट्स होते हैं वैसे उनको कंट्रोल करते हैं पानी को, और रेगुलेट जैसे वाल से करते हैं. छोटी पाइपलाइन आपने देखा होगा सोसाइटी में तो छोटे छोटे जो वाल लगा के खोलते हैं, वैसे इसमें बड़े बड़े स्ट्रक्चर बनाते हैं, कंट्रोल स्ट्रक्चर्स, head regulator, cross regulators, and many other things we create. So those things are control structures. So with this slide I stop today, and we'll take up a few more things about this part, and then we'll start the calculation of forces on gravity dams.